Okay, hello everyone and welcome to the Cardiff Crusaders tryouts for League of Legends. My name is Dusk. I'm joined here by Alpha for the games that will be streamed today between the creatively named Thigh Slappers and the Meme Team Dream Team. So I'll start off with the Thigh Slappers and then I'll hand it over to Alpha to introduce our Meme Team Dream Team. In the top lane we have Cosmic Spire. In the jungle, we have Sam, who will be going by the name of Jungle Jeremy in game, if you're looking for that. We then have Nordic in the mid lane, Lit as ADC, and Flecky as support. Alpha, if you want to introduce yourself and introduce our second team.
Yeah, hello, I am Alpha, and I am looking forward to casting, as you said, the creatively named Thigh Slappers and the Meme Team Dream Team. And speaking of the Meme Team Dream Team, their top laner is going to be Lewis Saber, and he's going to be jungled by Nat1 Gamer. We'll just call him Nat1. And then Tofu King in the mid lane, and finally the bot lane of Gearig and Baby Cage, Baby Rage.
Yeah, so some strange names all over the board. We've got Baby Cage, Baby Rage, we've got the Meme Team Dream Team, we've got the Thigh Slappers, everything's here. It's all a mouthful just to make our jobs even harder. So as soon as we know we're going into Champ Select, we'll tell you guys, but for just in case of what we're going through, yeah, we're just heading into Champ Select here. This is going to be a best of 3 series, so that's the first to do between these two teams. There's another best of 3 going on off stream, I believe, for the tryouts, and these teams have been balanced so that, you know, it shouldn't just be a complete wipeout, one team absolutely destroying the other. So the Cardiff University and Cardiff University Esports can get a real idea of, you know, who the best players on the given teams are. But now I'll hand it back over to you, Alpha, as we go through picks and bans. So what do you think about the bans that are coming through?
Yeah, so far we've got the bans of Poppy and Shen. Those are quite some strong bans, at least for the Shen. We've seen it quite popular everywhere. The Poppy probably more of a targeted pick, and we see the Kabuki are probably targeted towards Lewis Saber. He's got a 59% win rate over 70 games, so definitely don't want to deal with that on this side. On that side, we'll need to see what the opposite team answer with, and it's the Echo. I was wondering actually because both mid laners, the Tofu King and Nordic, both of them are actually a really big fan of Echo. So I was wondering if they were going to leave it up, maybe try to take it as a first pick, or just ban it and not have to deal with it. And the third ban there is the Caitlyn.
Yeah, and the Caitlyn ban, until recently, obviously, been quite common. Just that lane dominant pick that you can't really do anything about. And I really do like the Echo ban here because, you know, not only do we see it a lot on one player, we see it a lot on 2 players, and that can be flexed, even though it's slightly weaker, into the jungle. So that Echo pick is actually taking away 2 possible picks from the blue team, as we see first pick about to come here following a Twitch ban. So likely, because these are tryouts, more likely to be just targeted bans angled at you know, snuffing out some of the better players on the team to ensure that they're not on these overpowering picks. And then the staple in the top lane.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Switch live station over to the Ashe. The Ashe is a very dominant pick, one of the most picked ADCs all over the world in every region, including worlds that we've been seeing. It was traditionally an answer to this Caitlyn, but more recently we've been seeing Caitlyn banned, and then Ashe has just been the dominant option. And it looks like the reply here is going to be the Jhin. So what do you think about that bot lane?
So far, Ashe versus Jhin, it is really more of a setup bot lane. It's more like, you know, the Ashe Arrow and the Jhin W, just trying to help his teammates to set things up. But this is going to be the Jhin Senna bot lane, so it's going to be interesting to see what the what they get answered with, because it's such a long range, such a poke heavy bot lane. I'm just wondering if maybe you get the Karma or something else like that to try and either, you know, put out of the poke lane, or if they want to have a Leona or a Thresh, just a hard engage, because when it turns to level 6, that's going to be really easy to just turn on a flip and, you know, just okay, or you can go Rengar. I guess that's an option.
Yeah, I mean, in the bot lane there between the Jhin and the Senna, we have slows and roots for days. So, you know, how would you counter that? Well, they can't slow or root anyone if they're dead within half a second of noticing that you're coming for them. So Rengar, most likely, I would think, going to be a comfort pick on Jungle Jeremy here. However, we could always see it flex to the top lane. I'm not sure about Cosmic's ability on this champion or whether he likes to do that. And we see the Thresh here picked in response into the Jhin and Senna, so just going to be able to really lock down one of those two targets and sort of try and cut their CC in half. And then the Nunu and Willem picked up in the jungle, sort of a low elo staple, but still a very, very strong champ nonetheless.
Hey,
so
man, don't back from the Nunu. Gets things done.
Oh yeah, no smite victories here for the blue side if the Nunu could correctly pull off that combo. And as we go into the second ban phase here, what do you think of these first 3 picks from either side?
So this is both the bot lane and the jungle for both sides. So we know exactly what the 3v3 bot side is going to look like. And it does look like it's going to be more of a shove and then pressure in the jungle for the side of Louis Saber, Nat1, and Dofus King. But on the other side, what they're going to be looking for is basically wait to level 6 and make a pick. With the Ashe Arrow, the Rengar ultimate, it's going to be really hard to answer back unless you can just tank things out. You're almost guaranteed a kill with those 3 picks. So the rest of the bans coming in, we have the Ami and the Yone. The Yone is definitely targeted towards Lord Chrono. He's got 58% win rate on that champion, so again, just not wanting to have that as an option. And the Ornn ban coming in, it was really interesting actually. I was wondering if they were going to pick the Ornn since he was hovered, but they decided to just leave it, and it does end up getting that.
Yeah, so in terms of what both teams are looking for here, now that Rengar's came out very early, the semi sort of counter pick in the jungle, Nunu and Willip has been picked in because, you know, Nunu can build loads of those tank stats and there's nothing Rengar hates more than a tank. So for the rest of this draft, they might perhaps be looking for some disengage, some ways to keep their bot lane and their damage safe, because this is a very high damage bot lane between the two of these. Jhin, normally known for his movement speed and Senna for his heals, but between the two of them, especially as they scale up into the late game, there's going to be an insane amount of damage, so they need to make sure they keep these alive. And the pick of the staple sort of blind pick, Orianna here coming in. A very sort of safe pick, you know, not really any hard losing matchups that are in the meta. But then again, we've already seen a Rengar and a Nunu and Willip pick come out, so it's safe to say that the meta has less of an impact here than it might elsewhere. So what do you think about that Orianna pick, and how do you think the blue team's going to respond?
I do actually like that quite a bit. It's very, just as a four man there, that's very reliable, and it leaves you open to do pretty much anything top lane. You can get a split pusher, and these 4 people are not going to be able to really get punished that much. Or you can put another team fight. And we've got a Malphite on the other side. So very quickly, I'm really interested to see if they decide to go with the punish for the top lane, or they just go with team fight. Because on the other side, we do have the Zoe and the Malphite, which works really well for any sort of CJs, but then having the snap engage to immediately jump on them. So we need to see what they decide to go with. And the Heimerdinger hover here, that would be epic. That is epic, it's locked in.
Oh my god, right, I love to see this. I actually really like this pick into Malphite, because traditionally you would normally use Malphite as a counter pick, especially into characters like the Renekton, where you just slam down Ninja Tabby's Bramble Vest, all of a sudden Renekton is out the game. But the Heimerdinger here, I mean, we were talking about the disengage from the Rengar. Malphite ults onto you, Rengar ults onto you. If you've got that reaction time, instant slam the Zhonya's down. Your turrets are going to be mauling them whilst you're waiting for you to come out of stasis. And when I mentioned that I wanted to see the defense, I mean, the shockwave that can come out, and like I mentioned, we could see theoretically here, we could see 4 stopwatches on the side of the meme team, dream team, with the Jhin maybe picking up a Guardian Angel and the Orianna and the Heimerdinger being able to itemize that Sonya's if they really need it. So I think they've really managed to get that disengage for these fights, and I really like the team comp here for the meme team, dream team. What do you think about the team comp for the thigh slappers?
For the thigh slappers, it's a bit more of an all-over team comp. I'm not really sure what they go for here. Like you said, the bot lane is going to really just be waiting for that level 6. They're going to be poked down and shot in pretty much consistently, but then the Rengar came in, and that just flipped things, you know, all over the place. It's like, okay, what is the level 6 the plan, or are they hoping to focus mid lane? And with these last 2 picks, the Malphite and the Zoe, it doesn't really make any sort of clear team plan, to be honest. They can still go all over. They still have quite a bit of engage with the Ashe Malphite, but they also have a lot of poke and disengage with Zoe and Thresh. So maybe they're just hoping that whatever happens, they're gonna have a plan for it, and they're not gonna have they're not really going to be lacking in any way. But that lack of identity, they might end up getting punished really because they won't have like a very specific way to play the game out. Whereas on the other side, like I was saying, the 4-man they picked so far for the Nunu, the Orianna, Jin, and Senna, that is just a solid clump. That's going to be like it's just going to be a big clump, really hard to do any damage to, but it's just going to keep moving forward in sieges. So it's going to be really interesting to see if they do manage to get that off, or if the Thigh Slappers manage to work something out with their everything team comp there.
Yeah, because the picks do feel sort of contradictory. When you think about Zoe and Ashe, both those champions have a great ability to sort of poke down Ashe with their controls, with their slows, being able to ensure that the enemies really don't have too much mobility, not able to get in and out when they want. And, you know, sort of wanting to perhaps play back, play the fights slow, poke them out. Whereas you contrast that with the complete opposite of the Rengar and the Malphite. Malphite wants to go ugh and throw himself into you every single goddamn time, make sure that ADC does not get to play the game, and Rengar doing the exact same. So the two picks really feel sort of against each other, whereas here with the meme team dream team's composition, you can kind of see that real idea. They do have pretty good scaling, obviously, with the Senna, the Jin, the Orianna, and even to a certain extent the Heimerdinger and the Nunu, and they have a lot of protection, a lot of disengage. You can use the shockwave both defensively and offensively. The same with the Absolute Zero, the empowered turrets. And I feel like in terms of as an answer to the Thigh Slappers composition, it's just much better built together. So overall, I would have to say that the Thigh Slappers are going to have the edge going into this game.
Yeah, honestly, this could go either way. But this is what's exciting about these kind of games. You know, the team comp is just what the tools you have going into the game. So it's just kind of up to you how you use it. So I'm really looking forward to see if the Thigh Slappers are going to manage to make this work with all their different options, or if the meme team, dream team, end up actually coming through with their more solid team comp.
Yeah, so if Thigh Slappers are wanting to take this one down, they really are going to have to ensure that sort of they play the individual lanes and the individual matchups a lot better. As we're loading here into the game.
Here we go. I am excited.
Yeah, spectator delay is up, so we'll have to see. Perhaps do either's teams go for a level 1 cheese? Who do you reckon's stronger in this early game, and who do you reckon should be initiating that early fight?
So generally, in any sort of level 1, you look for any sort of easy hard CC, and there isn't really any on either side unless Senna takes the W. What I would say though is Ashe in a level 1, just with that free slow on her auto attacks, is always really, really strong for any sort of extended level 1. So we need to see if they do actually end up for it. I would imagine they would just end up covering all bases. At least for the meme team, dream team, they're quite happy to just go to their lanes without any sort of initial advantage. But as we said, the Thigh Slappers are really reliant on that laning dominance just to try and get ahead early without any sort of innate team comp advantage.
Yeah, and in terms of, like you said, with both teams here, they do sort of seem to be doing variations on a 5-point. Malphite here sort of aggressively positioned into that pixel brush there, and then Orianna placing her ball there, granting vision. Means that both teams just want to take this early game too slow, knowing that, as we said, bar the Ashe slows, there's no real need for a hard engage level 1. So we'll see how the two junglers are looking to clear. Nunu has backed and appears to be on bot side, so we'll be starting blue, and with the Rengar likely starting on red, that means they will both be arriving on the top side of the map at the same time, which means hopefully we will see some action. Now, in terms of these matchups, I mean, let's be honest here, Malphite's not going to have a good time. No one has fun into Heimerdinger, especially if you're melee. So until he gets 1 or 2 items under his belt, he's going to be laying back. He's going to be trying to play it slow. And yeah, we'll just see how much early pressure this Rengar can get, because there's no denying that as much as perhaps the team comp might not be as strong, if Rengar gets a lead, or if a Malphite gets a lead, or if a Zoe gets a lead, they are able to absolutely run around and just control the map completely. So we'll have to see how this lead develops for the Thigh Slappers, because they're really needing it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there. Like I said, like we both said, they are going to be really reliant on any sort of lane advantage. So as is the usual, early game, not much is going to happen. At least for the first couple of minutes, it's just going to be waves clearing back and forth. So what we need to look at is what the jungle pathing is looking like. I was going to say I was going to imagine jungle Jeremy is going to be looking for or Sam, sorry. Sam's going to be looking for a full clear to try and get that level 6 as quickly as possible. And eventually, hopefully, get to that that free kill in any lane really. Just because the power of the Rengar level 6 is going to be... you basically walk up to someone, and if you have any setup, which there is setup in pretty much every lane, and so most of the time, if you get to the point of level 6 as a Rengar, you're going to be looking to get a free kill on a lane and then snowball from there.
Yeah, of course, like you mentioned with that setup, you know, Malphite, especially post 6, he's only got slows early on. And then as we see in the mid lane here, the Sleepy Trouble bubble does come down, but Nunu and Willip is here to back it up. The snowball is running at them, misses, and Nordic manages to get out of that and is actually getting some return damage onto Nunu here. So definitely no problems with that trade at all, not really losing anything out, but wasting some of that Nunu and Willip's precious time where they could be spending it elsewhere.
Yeah, look, it does look like Nat 1 is going to be looking for that bot side Scuttle Crab, whereas on the other side, Sam is going to be looking for the top side Scuttle Crab. And it's going to be really interesting just because, like we said, he is going to have bot lane push pretty much the whole game. There's no real way for Ashe and Thresh to counter that just because of the long range from Senna and Jhin. But on the other side, we have the Heimerdinger, who's always going to have a push against the Malphite. But the mid lane is going to be a little bit more contested. Orianna and Zoe, there isn't really a clear winner in push priority. And I do really like this actually from Sam as a Rengar, just going to grab that free chicken camp while he can. Just because, again, like we said, the priority for Rengar is to just grab that level 6 as quickly as possible. You can see it's going quite low here, so it's quite risky. And I do actually like this. This is quite important. That minion wave is walking right past just now, so if he wants to walk right by it, he might be able to spot that out and then just kill it. So that is a smart move from Sam, and he does end up just grabbing the free cards without getting punished. And
yeah, so quite a hefty farm lead that's going to be developing there. We see 33 to 28, so definitely a couple camps ahead.
Oh,
and
no.
oh, poor, I feel so sorry for Cosmic Spire in this instant. Nobody likes that, and I hope that Leopard has some sympathy for him, knowing just how horrible it is. But yeah, and the Malphite farm under tower, especially early, is just not fun. He has managed to pick himself up a Negatron Cloak, which is, you know, gonna help him a little bit in that matchup, but we saw with the damage that came in on the TP, it's certainly not gonna be easy, it's just gonna be easier as a large wave pushes in here on the bot side. We did see early scuttle trades with Nunu picking up the bot one, and Rengar picking up the top one with Vision now going down on Dragon, and it does look to be a gank here as the snowball comes a rolling in, lands onto Thresh, damage coming straight through, the CC lands from Jhin, there should be a set kill, but he gets the flash out, the hook goes wide, and he manages to keep himself alive. Now 2 members here from the blue team going out, the Sleepy Trouble bubble misses, but does not, unfortunately this fight is so close under tower, and the first blood goes over to Rengar. That's exactly what they're looking for. The damage continuing. Jhin managing to pick up the return kill, and 2-for-1 trade in the bot lane, but that first blood going over to Rengar. An insanely close fight.
Oh wow, that was just so much happened there. Essentially, just started in that one, trying to look for the pick on the Thresh there, and it didn't quite work out. It looks like with the aftershock on the Thresh, he was able to survive. But what was really important was Sam and Nordic managing to collapse there so quickly. I didn't actually manage to see it. They managed to get down there before the gank was finished, and they do manage to pick up, as you said, a 2-for-1. And on the back of that, just because of the late recall on the side of the Thigh Slappers, we do have Nat 1 managing to get back out on the map much quicker and then picking up that first Drake. And we have the Cloud Drake up next, so we're going to have an Inferno or a Mountain Soul for the foreseeable future. And I'd imagine, just for the space, I would like to see the Inferno.
Oh yeah, absolutely. When we've got a Rengar and a Malphite, you always want to see that Inferno coming out. But I think that first dragon actually is going to have a lot of impact over that game. Nordic there, not seeing the one chicken alive, not choosing to reset the timer, which would be quite helpful for his jungler. But that first dragon coming out for the side of the Mean Team Dream Team is actually quite important, just because we mentioned how the scaling on their team is really quite disgusting and is certainly going to have more of a better team fighting comp as we head into the late game. So the fact that they're able to stop the thigh slappers, being able to get that early Drake advantage, which could put a pressure on some of these late game teams, just delaying them by that one dragon, it's actually quite huge, as we see here that Sam could be looking for a gank onto the mid lane. But
he does have that level 6, so we are going to be okay. It does look like he might want to try something top lane. The Malphite ultimate has actually already been used, so it's not going to guarantee a kill. So he might just decide to get some farm on the Krugs, but we have Nat 1 actually making his way up there.
Yeah, looking at Lewis Saber's health, it doesn't appear that ult was used, but Rengar going in. Nunu still quite tanky, even in this early game, but his mid laner is there to back him up. Orianna just throwing the ball out, ensuring that he's got defensive plays for his team. But now they know the Rengar is in his jungle. They are playing in the enemy quadrant, and Nunu picks up the shockwave, lands, and the absolute zero, taking Zoe down. Now Rengar is in here, up a creek without a paddle. He is going to go down as well, and a beautifully played fight by the Mean Team Dream Team.
That is a tragedy for the thigh slappers. That was the first ultimate from Sam on his Rengar. That always has to be, that always has to have some kind of impact. It's like any other ultimate, like a TF ultimate or a Galio ultimate. The first one has to be so impactful just because of the cooldown on it, and because of how much you can get out of it. So on the back of that, as you said, that is 2 kills for the Mean Team Dream Team. And just to add on top of that, as we were saying earlier with the first streak, the Mean Team Dream Team are not in any real hurry to get to the Soul. Like we said earlier, they have the more solid team comp with the more solid scaling on the side of Orianna, Senna, and Jhin. So they're not really going to be rushed to do anything. But on the other side, as we said, the thigh slappers have to be the one to actually get something going. And that 2 for 0 is just going to set it back so far, just because they want to get something going. But here we go.
Damage down onto Malphite. The ultimate comes in, knocking them both up. No ultimate side of thigh slappers, and one is going to go down. Can Rengar pick up the second? And that is the double kill that we need to be seeing from the side of thigh slappers. Huge amounts of damage coming out there, and the unstoppable force absolutely changing the sway of that fight. And it just really shows that no matter how far Malphite gets behind, that ultimate is always going to be super impactful. Picking up 2 kills on that Rengar, 2 stacks on that Bone Tooth necklace is going to really help them with the deficit that they're finding themselves at.
And a huge turnaround here for the thigh slappers. As we said, it's just going to be so important to get this Rengar far ahead. He needs to be ahead of the opponent to actually be useful. And so far, as we said, they invaded with no pressure top lane and they ended up paying for it. But on the other side, we have the Malphite ultimate that managed to turn this around. As you said, it's always going to be impactful. It's always going to be able to turn things around, and that's exactly what it did in that team fight. They get caught out there going for the Rift Heralds. They did get it, so there is still an opportunity to get things back if they manage to pick up either a turret or just a play to the charge. But just on the kills themselves, that is going to be really big for the thigh slappers and giving them at least a lifeline or a way to get back into this game.
Yeah, if ever we think about win conditions for this game, the Rengar is certainly up there as Nunu is rolling the stone ball into mid lane. It should be spotted out by the Rengar, knocking Zoe up here, but doesn't look like the damage is there. The shield coming through, and there you go. That's the place for Rengar. We need to see Ori gets absolutely one shot. Absolute zero comes out for the side of Nunu, but the flash is going to come out to land that kill. 2 turret shots over to the Rengar. It's going to be very low health, but manages to get out with his life. And Lewis Saber goes down as well. That is a 3 for nothing for the side of thigh slappers. And just like we mentioned, just like the gods foretold, Rengar is fed, and the squishies do not get to play the game.
It has happened. It was the 100 to 0. The funny part of that is Tofu King actually tried to use his cleanse there, but that doesn't stop damage, unfortunately. So he pretty much gets 100 to 0 there, and a big play from the bot lane Lit and Flecky just managed to turn up there because Louis Saber tried to TP in, tried to save that play, but instead what ended up happening is they ended up basically just giving over a free kill there. He didn't really get anything for that, just because the Nunu ultimate, I forget what it's called, but the
Absolute Zero.
Absolute Zero. There we go. The Absolute Zero didn't get anyone low enough for Louis Saber to get anything back from that. So it's yep. The Rengar is online.
Yeah, the Rengar is most certainly online, and this makes the play here for the Dragon for the side of Meme Team, Dream Team very scary indeed. They do need to be really careful. So the Rengar is hovering around here in mid lane as Nunu's rolling a snowball back. And again, off camera, the one shot just coming through. Tofu is not going to be allowed to play this game. Disappeared, a magic trick. Oh, you love to see it, or in our case, not get to see it. The amount of damage that he's able to deal now with Sam being so far ahead, and they're going to be able to secure the second Drake. So despite the early Drake drop, despite the slightly rocky start, the poor decisions going into the enemy jungle when they had the rotation timers up, it certainly looks like they're going to be able to get themselves snowballing back into this game, as this Rengar is massive. Orianna is going to need to be picking up defensive itemization, going to need to be picking up that stopwatch. But again, until you complete the Zonias, that stopwatch is only saving you once. And then even when you do complete the Zonias, that stopwatch can only save you a couple of times. And Rengar doesn't have to use his ultimate to kill you, can kill you from a bush. So really, at this point in the game, when Rengar is this far ahead, there is nowhere that is safe from Toku's Orianna.
Yeah, honestly, as I said, it's always funny to watch it as long as it's not happening to you. So the Rengar really being a nightmare there for Tofu kicking mid lane. And as you said, yeah, he's going to pick up something to save him, but he's nowhere near Azonia's. He started with Dark Angel, which is a standard build. Oh, here we go.
Vision play here, the Rengar jumps in, and Senna is just gone! The damage comes out so quickly, being able to use that vision and the blast cone to get himself into the bush, into the bot lane without being spotted out. However, Zoe's looking for something here. The Sleepy Trouble Bubble does miss, but as long as they can keep Garrick under this tower, there's always the chance of another Rengar one shot. He's going to be stacking up these passive stacks here, getting that empowered Q ready. The tower dive is coming in, the ultimate comes out, and he's gone! Disappeared off the map. The flash and the heal, a bit overkill there coming out from the side of Thigh Slapper's bot lane. But regardless, this Rengar is inevitable. He is everywhere, and Garrick knew from the second there that his back was stopped by Zoe and the Sleepy Trouble Bubble.
Oh no. Is he going to wait? Is he going to wait? That'd be the ultimate cheese.
If Senna makes the mistake of walking back the lane here, this could be... But no, he backs. Not gonna lie, I wanted to see the cheese here, but yeah, no, this is the exact point that we were making during the draft phase and the point that we were making previously in this game. If Thigh Slappers want to take down this game, they need to rely on individual players, individual ability, in order to make sure that the team comp difference really doesn't matter. We're seeing this here. 9 out of 10 kill participation on the Rengar. 8 out of 10 kill participation on the Zoe. These two are all over the map, and the teleport from Cosmic Spire gets stopped by the bomb from Louis Saber. Disastrous. It's always rubbish when you forget that the enemy has a stun to stop that teleport, and that is really not what you're looking for. But not that should make too much of a difference, because as we see here, even on Sam just destroying the Rift Scuttler, doesn't matter, and it's going to be looking here to pick up the second Rift Herald of the game. Now, it is post plates, obviously, 15:30 here into the game, so no plates up, but given the lead that they have right now, the amount of pressure that this Rengar is getting from merely existing and threatening with his ultimate up means that I could easily see multiple towers going down to this Rift Herald if it's picked up at the right time. Sleepy Trouble Bubble does land onto your Orianna, but no follow-up going to be there. So if you put yourself in the shoes of Meme Team, Dream Team here, down 3 kills to 11, what is your plan to get yourself back into this game?
At this point, unfortunately, because you're playing against the Rengar, you just cannot be in a side lane. Those places are no-go zones. So bot lane is, you're going to have to wait until someone pushes into your turret, and then you just pick up the wave when it's at your turret. But Sam is still looking for... This is behind the tier... What?
Oh.
Okay, right.
Your recall just going off there for the side of Tofu King, but he was looking for that with the thrill of the hunt. He knew that he was near backing and could absolutely one-shot him under tower, as the stopwatch has not yet been picked up. But unfortunately doesn't manage to land it and just goes for the blast cone instead, obviously a high priority target.
Yep, also looks very funny, so that's I guess it was worth it. So also, although, because I think the when Tofu recalled, they probably saw the Rengar mark above them, so they can assume that the Rengar ultimate has just been used. So that's at least a minute or so of farming the side lane, so I didn't having to be too worried.
Yeah.
But Sam is still looking for them, so the danger is still there. It's just that he's not going to be invisible while he does it. So
Yeah.
that's
We
I
would
guess.
hope that it would be up for just over a minute, but as we can see from the cooldown on the sidebar there, it's only got 20 seconds to go to use it then. So he's got Electrocute, but Cleo must perhaps, given that he's only got 10% CDR in his build, perhaps has some in his runes as well. But Nunu will trying to pick up the kill here. Bot lane, Meme Team, Dream Team going in, stunning him up, but he is just so tanky. Once
That's
again,
a rock. You try to kill a rock.
Yep, you can't kill a rock. It's not your pet rock. He is not your friend. And if you try and go for that again, especially with this Rengar nearby, I will not be surprised if that rock gets thrown at your face, as well as a cat screaming at you as he killed your ADC and all the rest of your players. The dragon here does look to be being picked up by the bot lane of Thigh Slappers, and this is the situation where Meme Team, Dream Team really need to pick up their game, because now that this dragon lead has gone over to the Thigh Slappers, next one will be Soul Point, and the following will obviously be Soul. This is a very worrying position, because as a scaling comp, even though the Infernal Drake can be argued as to be one of the less impactful ones for this game overall, obviously people like to see things like the Ocean Soul come through. But regardless of that, if you give away that to the enemy team, but a fight going down, Malphite does come through, and the ADC and support gets bursted. The stopwatch does come through, and the Rengar is going to get chased out of turret here. We'll see if the damage is enough to find up. The ultimate coming out from the Heimerdinger on the W, getting slowed by the Jhin turrets, and Nunu will look to be picking up the kill on the support here, but as much as that is an advantage for the Meme Team, Dream Team, nonetheless, they don't manage to get the Rengar, they don't manage to get that shot down, and he still manages to pick up the kill on the ADC. Now, despite the amount of pressure that he's been putting on bot lane, the farm does still seem to be somewhat even. About 20 difference between the bot lane, but the snowball coming through here, Nunu all over the map with speed. Zoe runs away and just bursts him as he goes away. The Ashe perma slows means that he cannot do anything. The shockwave comes through. Dawning Shadows out from the center are going to be able to get themselves disengaged from this, but are playing quite far up. They're playing with these advantages. They're toying with them at this point because Thigh Slappers know just how far in the lead they are.
And it's honestly a scary amount to be far, because even though we've been focusing on the Rengar this whole time, the Ashe has actually been doing work. He's got 2 items completed already. It's got a 20 CS lead already, and that's 350 gold bounty. This guy does damage, and so it's not as if you can focus on the Rengar and then you can be okay, you can carry the game from there. You still have the Zoe to be worried about and the Ashe to be worried about. It's honestly quite hard to see how the Meme Team, Dream Team come back from this, especially because they only have the one tank, and that one tank is going to be the jungle, who's the jungle doesn't always have the best in terms of mid to late game farm options. So the amount of tankiness that you can get from here is really quite limited. And unless the team specifically lets him farm, or make space for him to farm, this is pretty much as tanky as he's going to.
But the hook lands from the Thresh onto Nunu and Welby. He's very tanky! Destroy the Thresh himself. Rengar not able to one-shot that quite yet, and they are going to have to be a bit more careful with this. Leads obviously getting quite ballsy with the hook there, not managing to land the kill in return. But when you think of hard farming junglers, heavy farming junglers, you might think of the Nunu to some extent, has a very good clear speed, but champion you certainly don't think of is the Rengar. However, when we look at the farm in the jungle here, we see that the Rengar is actually outdoing the Nunu in the case of farm, up currently I believe 17 CS. So you can see these advantages happen with like a CS lead in pretty much every lane here, even in the dominated Heimerdinger lane. The stun does come through from the Nunu, the heals coming through also. Zoe, very low health, sleep trouble will land, and he's just going to get destroyed by the dual damage of the Zoe and the Rengar. But the Jhin ultimate curtain call does come through with the last shot hit. No, it doesn't. It goes wide. The W also misses, so the Zoe is going to survive. Malphite's going to have to try and find his way out here. Looks like he should be able to do it. Not the best played fight there from the Meme Team, losing 2-0, but certainly very close, giving them a glimmer of hope for the rest of this game.
This is some high commitment there from Sam. He's just sitting in a bush. Someone's going to come. Someone's going to have to come and farm this. And he's just sitting there waiting.
Menacingly.
Okay, that guy's pretty scary at this point. He might just look at you, but you might have to walk. But that is one juicy wave. Thank you for highlighting that. So someone's going to have to come at some point. But it looks like they're actually deciding not to go for it. Maybe Heimerdinger is going for it. No, Blue Saber, don't do it.
Could be disastrous for the team. He's just waiting here. No shame. And the Heimerdinger just gets popped. Not even the chance of this broken stopwatch is not able to do anything. And we just see here. You say shameful, but at the end of the day, cats like to go fishing, but that's exactly what he was doing there. He had his bait out in the top lane, that huge way. Somebody had to come and pick it up, and the 1-5-3 scoreline for the Heimerdinger, looking like Tyler 1's top lane. It's not the best that we're looking for. And the Malphite here that we mentioned, who was really struggling in the early game, like you said, Malphite item, doesn't matter how far behind he is, he's gonna always have impact with his ultimate there. So the tower looking to be going down here in the bot lane with little response. Zoe putting up pressure here with the Zoe Trouble Bubble, just able to zone off anyone from the side of Mean Team Dream Team, putting so much pressure here on the base of the Mean Team Dream Team, and just sort of unrelenting. And you can see now that Lewis Saber has felt the wrath of the Rengar, the real power of a fed Rengar is going to be coming through, because it's not just the damage. It's not just the damage that makes Rengar so insane. It's that idea that you need to have every brush, every area of the map warded, because at the end of the day, the zoning from the simple fear of the Rengar, the fear of the thrill of the hunt, can have as much of an impact as the damage of the character itself.
Yeah, at this point, the safe farming zone is pretty much just their base. Anything outside of that, you're flipping a coin there. A Rengar might be there and you might die instantly, or you might be able to get your farm. It's honestly 50-50 at that point. And as you said there, so yeah, as I was saying earlier, you can see here the Nunu is really struggling to get tankier than he is at the moment. He was at the... Oh, okay. Is he looking for someone? Sam is looking for his next...
For the Heimerdinger taunt, the thrill of the hunt comes out, and he just gets popped. Is there really ever any point in trying to do any commentary of the damage that is coming out here? Because it's gone in the blink of an eye. Obviously, when he's this far ahead, when he's got this much lethality and armor penetration, the damage here, not only to champions, but as we're about to see onto the Baron, is going to be hefty. Picking up this Baron means they're going to have so much pressure on, likely, if they play this correctly, all three lanes. And being up this far ahead, they're up 2 Drakes. They're up a Baron. This is really just a horrific situation for the Meme Team Dream Team to be in. And honestly, at this point, there's nothing that they can do. The shockwave does come out from Orianna, but misses. And the damage through from Zoe absolutely destroys her health bar. Manages to get out with a sliver there, and the heal from Senna somewhat helping out. But you could just see this 2-1 and 9 Zoe does not care about your health bar. It will be gone in a second, and they are pummeling down on the base of the Mean Team.
Honestly, at this point, it's at this point. Oh no!
And the unstoppable force comes through, lands on the 3. The absolute zero comes. Good following through. Nunu is going to find himself dead. Can the Mean Team Dream Team pick up anything here? But Rengar is there once again, evaporating the health bars on the side of the Mean Team Dream Team. And Heimerdinger is also going to go down. That was a 1-for-2 there, I believe, for the side of Thigh Slappers, and they are putting the pressure on. They could choose to end here. They go for it. The damage onto the towers from this Rengar. He's getting hit by the tower. Oh, he just makes that out there with a sliver of health, able to cleanse himself. CC takes the 3rd one for the fun of it and heals himself back up. And they are going to lose the Zoe there, I believe, at the end.
Yeah, so he decided to flash under the 2 towers there.
Well, you know, when you're this far ahead in the game, at the end of Fulton, I mean, I believe in my friend group anyway, in a mitten, so I believe this is what we would call an FF angle to the side of Meme Team Dream Team. Because ultimately here, if you look at the champions on their side, yes, they do have scaling, but you can't exactly outscale a 15k gold lead at 26 minutes into the game. They have to be reliant here on the side of Thigh Slappers slipping up somewhere, giving away free kills, giving away free shutdowns, as they did a little bit there with the Zoe shutdown, and really just make sure that they're playing incredibly safely. But ultimately, at the end of the day, no matter how safe you play, no matter how far under the towers you are, this Malphite, who, may I remind you, currently has a Zonias that I just noticed. Sorry, a Magi
Medjay.
Soul Stealer.
It's a
That is currently a
Medjay.
1 stack, but nevertheless, that is a Magi Soul Stealer on tank Malphite.
Yeah, that is a
No
disrespect Medjay there. It's not there to do anything really, it's just to let you know he's got a Medjay.
Yeah, the 1 stack is certainly not the best fight of all time. However, the Nunu ball is going to come through here. The curtain coat on the Jhin just does absolutely no damage to the Malphite, but a massive shockwave comes through. The absolute 0 does land onto multiple, and the Thresh is going to get taken down here. Malphite using Unstoppable Force to get out, but the Rengar's waiting here on the sideline. The thrill of the hunt, looking for a target. Gets spotted under the tower, and they're going to know he's here, and he's going to choose to not engage. So, in terms of the Mean Team, Dream Team, that's the kind of thing you're looking for. You're looking for them to get over-aggressive. You're looking for them to slip up, and slowly over the course of the game, if Thigh Slappers do continue to hand away these free handouts, these free kills, we could perhaps see the Mean Team, Dream Team make a comeback, even though it's unlikely. So, you know, how they play in the next 5 to 10 minutes on the side of Thigh Slappers, I think will definitely determine the outcome of this game. This game is either over in the next 5 minutes, or it is going to swing heavily around this next Drake fight.
Yeah, I was going to say actually, this might be one of those start thinking about the next pick and ban phase, as this is a best of 3. But you know, if the team is just if the enemy team is just going to give you a free kills, you just take those, right? So you know, maybe they do that a couple of times more, and you know, the main team, Dream Team, actually has an angle to come back. But the sad thing here, unfortunately, is that we do have the Drake coming up soon, and that will be the soul point for the Thigh Slappers. And the main team, Dream Team, have to contest for this, so this might be the way to do it.
The ball misses onto the Ashley. Unstoppable! 2 squishies on the side of Mean Team, Dream Team. They're going to get shattered. The shockwave hits but misses. Nunu is going to go down as well. That is no jungle. And he just gets absolutely destroyed. The Thigh Slappers are barreling down on the base of the Mean Team, Dream Team. The shutdown goes over to Heimerdinger. The game is saved. This is winnable for the Mean Team, Dream Team. I'm of course kidding. The base is likely going to go down in a matter of seconds as they have multiple waves here pushing in. They should be able to close this one out. And we were mentioning win conditions here. They could perhaps maybe try and pick up that dragon, but they just weren't in the position to do it. The damage has gone down here, and Thigh Slappers are going to very, very confidently, mastery emotes flexing, take game 1.
Yeah, and that was close until it wasn't really.
Cunning analysis, Sherlock. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Color casters.
That's me. I'm here for hire. But yeah, honestly, there was a little bit of hope at the start of that game for the main team, Dream Team. But on the other side, they decided to get that Rift Herald earlier on, the first Rift Herald. But unfortunately, that was too much for them. But I do believe we'll be going on break for about 2 to 5 minutes, and then we'll be back.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cardiff Esports tryouts, day one for League of Legends. I am Dusk. I'm joined again by Alpha after Meme Team Dream Team's disappointing loss in game one. The Thigh Slappers picking up the Rengar for Sam and picking up the Zoe for Nordic. Absolutely destroyed that game. The health bars of Meme Team Dream Team were non-existent. So we're going to have to see how they draft around that, what they change, and how they're going to adapt coming into game two. They're going to be blue side for this team for this time, Meme Team Dream Team. So we'll see how maybe their picks, their bans change for that. Alpha, what do you think they have to do to adapt to ensure that this game is not? What do you think they have to do to adapt to ensure that this game is not like the last?
I'm thinking maybe a Rengar ban. I'm not sure. I could be wrong on that.
Maybe
Perhaps.
a Rengar ban.
Yeah. But honestly, I think it's really going to have to be around. The pick and ban again. Yeah, there we go. There's a Rengar ban.
Prophecy has been foretold. When a Rengar goes, what was he, 11-2-2, or something insane along those lines?
Something silly. That's what
you got to ban it out. And the Caitlyn returned on the other side. Obviously, a key ban for red side, ensuring that blue side can't just pick it up. The uber safe bot lane first pick.
Yeah, and the Shen coming in is actually a big pick for Cosmic Spire. We saw last game, he ended up having to go into I believe the Malphite. That's what he went, because he was just so banned out. And looking at his favorite picks, it is pretty much the Shen, and not much after that. So the Malphite probably is like a safe pick or a backup pick. So hopefully, maybe he gets a chance to carry on something else, or he gets put back on the Malphite. I don't imagine that's going to get banned out.
Yeah, we'll have to see what he wants to do after. I don't think he'd be too upset if he was put on, say, tank duty again, as long as it's one of these high impact characters. Because sure, he might not have been the shining star of that game. Ultimately, at the end of the day, he still had a huge impact on the team fights. Was still able to help Jungle Jeremy, had to help Sam get his snowball rolling on that Rengar, and still really having an impact in these fights. So I believe the draft is currently there. So I believe the draft is currently there we go. It was frozen for a second. Apologies for that. And the bans coming out. So we saw a Twitch from blue side, and then the Camille and the Ornn from the red side, and the Ashe first pick here coming in again, this time on the side of the Meme Team Dream Team.
Yeah, again, quite a solid pick. It does pretty much what you need to do. And here we go again, Cosmic Spire with the run back. The Malphite works for him last game, and it looks like he's just going to go for it again. And maybe they pick up another jungler, Jungle Jeremy, or Sam as he likes to be called. Maybe that's not his only pick. We do usually have people who play Rengar, especially with that performance last game, are quite happy to go more carries. And as we see here, the Nidalee comes on, and that will be again a hard carry jungler. So again, we need to know what does the Meme Team Dream Team have to answer that? Do they have something that can either contain it, or does not one want to go toe to toe and try and pick another carry against it?
Yeah, so the Poppy pick here coming out for the side of the top lane, I think is quite good, because the Malphite does have, as we mentioned sort of last game, a lot of CC setup, with the slow and the ulti past level 6 for the Nidalee, which is very helpful. So the Poppy negating the Nidalee jump could really help her. Obviously, you can't stop an unstoppable force, but nonetheless, it's still going to be useful. And also just, a safe pick that we know Lewis Saber is very comfortable on, as we've seen. And the Nautilus here picked up, so it's going to be Ashe Nautilus in the bot lane, and the Morgana getting slammed down there, likely for Baby Cage, Baby Rage. For Flecky. So that's, you know, one of these really strong counter picks in the bot lane. Obviously, you've got that black shield, and which you can use to prevent any of the stuns or the drags from the Nautilus hook. And then also you've got the dark binding itself, which is very good at locking the bot lane down. Which, when you've got an Ashe who has a really good kiting ability because of her slows, if she gets stunned, you can't kite her anymore. So we'll have to see how they respond with this comp. Picking a support before an ADC is somewhat unorthodox. So we'll have to see what they pick up in response.
Yeah, so Echo is still up actually. It was banned last time. And this would be targeted towards Tofu King. That is his most played and his highest win rate is the Echo, and second was the Annie. But there we go. It's going
and there it goes. Yeah, really don't want to be handing that over. They could perhaps keep it up if they were looking to pick it. But if you look at the enemy composition, Malphite, Nidalee, and Morgana, you don't want more AP here. They need to be picking up more AD, perhaps even an AD mid laner we could see here through maybe an exciting assassin to be keeping our eyes on. But it's likely just going to be Xayah coming out for the Xayah would be absolutely incredible. Lit. For those of you who haven't seen his name, he somehow manages to get the summoner name Xayah, and in response, we're going to see the Akali in the mid lane. A very sort of safe pick, but she does have some very good counter options. So Tofu King perhaps saying this game, you know, right, I didn't like what the situation I was put in last game with the Orianna. Give me a carry, insta-lock me a carry. And the Veigar being hovered here, I don't tend to like to talk about hovers, but it gets locked in anyway. So this is going to be the Akali top lane into the Malphite, and then the Veigar mid blind pick, which is somewhat questionable in itself, because if Flecky has any of these answers that can perhaps counter the Veigar, although Akali has been taken away, which is one of the possible answers, could be answered, and the Lucian is certainly one of them. I mentioned they want to pick up more AD in the mid lane. So now that Lucian has came out, we can really see how these comps are going to come together. Looking at these drafts, Alpha, which one would you say would you prefer, and what do you think their goals are?
What really threw me for a loop there was the Poppy joint of an issue, so we'll try and get that sorted out as soon as possible. I believe this was due to a client crash. So we are just trying to get this sorted out. Most likely going to go through the same draft and the same picks and bans. But yeah, we're just going to have a look at the comp that we saw, and hopefully I can remember it. So yeah, I believe it was the Poppy jungle with the Akali top.
Yep. So if we go down the two teams, blue meme team, dream team on the left from top to bottom managed to pick up the Akali in the top lane, Poppy in the jungle. In the mid lane, they had the Veigar as ADC, they had Ashe, and support they had Nautilus. On the other side, and we really are jogging my memory here, they had the Malphite in the top lane, Nidalee in the jungle, Lucian as an ADC, Xayah as Lucian as the mid lane, Xayah as an ADC, and Morgana as a support.
Yeah, so just in pure terms of comp to comp, and we do have quite a variety again of carry options from the meme team, dream team, which is quite different from the last game. They had a sort of like the big clump together. It was just relying on scaling and just staying together. But with the Akali mid and with the Poppy jungle, it's just so many options of what to actually do. So what I'm looking forward to is, how does the Akali Malphite matchup go? It could really go in any direction, just because of she doesn't really get punished that much for leading against the Malphite. So she essentially gets almost a free lane phase. And we all know what the feeling of the big difference between a zero item Akali and the Hextech Gunblade after that's been completed. And it's just a massive power spike. And usually what you try and do is punish the Akali in the time it gets, in the time it takes to get to that item. But as a Malphite, you're not really going to do that. So I'm looking forward to see what Louis Sable manages to do with that Akali.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of what the Malphite's looking for, Akali can put on a lot of early pressure, even with those energy nerfs that she received many passes ago, which sort of pushed her out the meta for a while. She is still able to have a lot of early pressure, and Malphite, as we've seen, can struggle with that early. But just like we saw into the Heimerdinger last game, Cosmic Spire has absolutely no problem in dealing with it. He is completely fine, just, playing safe, playing back early, waiting, because he knows that unstoppable force is going to come through in the late game, and he's going to have this big impact on the fight. In terms of mid lane, they did manage to get the counter through Vigar, someone who likes to play so, scale up, deal tons of damage in the late game. Lucian, the other way around, has a really good early game, is going to be exacting so much pressure here onto Tofu King's Vigar, attempting to suppress him and not really allow him to get that early scaling. And then what do you think about this bot lane matchup? Because it's not what two pairings that I'm particularly familiar with.
So the Xayah Morgana against Ashe Nautilus. It's as you said there, the Morgana can sort of act like a counter to Nautilus, but because Nautilus has just so much CC, essentially I've seen some people have to max the Black Shield first, just to try and block as much CC as possible. So this really has to depend on who the AD carry is. And Ashe against Xayah really is very Ashe favored. Xayah hasn't really been seen that much around pro play. It's really only people who are really comfortable in Xayah, or if every other AD carry has been banned out, that people tend to gravitate towards Xayah. So what I'm really worried about for the side of the thigh slappers is just because the Xayah really needs almost 3 items before she can do any sort of noticeable damage. Are they going to get punished for that? In the meantime, because Ashe has been getting played because of just how much pressure she has with the basic auto attacks that end up slowing you. That's not really something that you can use the Black Shield for. It's gonna keep going all the time. So what we're gonna have to do, what we're gonna have to find out basically is how much can Xayah survive the laning phase against the Ashe Nautilus, and eventually get to her items and get to a point where she can do damage. Because again, the only real tank on the opponent team is the Poppy jungle, so it's not really going to be the massive front line that's really hard to get through. As soon as Xayah gets her damage, it's pretty much going to shred through that Poppy.
Yeah, absolutely here. And then when we talk about sort of scaling on the two team comps, it's sort of a weird dynamic, and I don't think we can really nail it down, because Malphite obviously scales quite well. Nidalee, if she gets ahead, is able to do a lot of damage. The same thing can be said for Lucian. And as you mentioned, Xayah with multiple items is an absolute force to be reckoned with. But equally on the other side, we have a Vigar. We have a Vigar in a competitive game. Like, there's nothing you can do about that man scaling, because whether it comes in at 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 40 minutes, or 2 days after the game's finished, he's still going to be scaling. He's still going to be hitting those minions, still going to be getting those Qs, still going to be getting his passive stacks up. So it'll be really interesting to see how the two team comps execute on their compositions and how they execute on their win conditions. Now, I do just want to talk a bit about this pick that we got surprised by. We were expecting the Poppy top, but it has been flexed into the jungle. Now, Poppy does have a pretty good jungle clear, especially after she picks up the basic jungle item, because, with her Q, she has that slow and repeated damage. The pin's able to stun the big buffs, and the W is able to give her additional armor and magic resist, so she doesn't struggle in the jungle whatsoever. And in terms of ganks, especially if that opponent is close to the wall, can have a lot of potency. But in other aspects, the W can stop dashes and things like that. But there's a reason that she's not picked in pro play, and that's because Poppy is one of these item powerhouses where the more that goes on top of her, the tankier is the more and more she becomes unkillable. And just like we saw last game, it can be hard for junglers as they approach the late game to be picking up that farm, as junglers often have to give farm away to their carries, have it perhaps invaded and stolen, etc. And, they'll get flamed by their teammates if they even so much go anywhere near lane farm. You don't want to touch that. So Poppy, a character who's really reliant on picking up some of these key items, the Sunfire Cape, or in this case, the Balmy Cinder jungle item, picking up the Thorn Mail into heavy AD, which will be questionable if she'll pick up here. So that's why it's often not seen in jungle. However, it certainly can be picked in jungle, as we've seen. Now, it'll be questionable how it plays into the Nidalee. I'm obviously not It'll be questionable how it plays into the Nidalee. I'm obviously not familiar with that matchup. I don't think anyone is. I would assume that off the back of it, Poppy, with her being able to stop dashes, will be able to maybe sort of soft counter her. But ultimately, if Nidalee manages to get on top of you whilst your W's down, because it does have a very hefty cooldown, I believe 20-something seconds in the early game, if she's able to get on top of you, there's really no getting her off you. So we'll see how this plays out. It is a lot of questionable champion matchups that we're perhaps not too familiar with, but we'll see how both teams choose to execute it when we get into game.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. This in terms of jungle matchup, it is going to be quite hard for the Poppy to stay relevant. For the Poppy to be relevant earlier on in the game, as she is really reliant on those big items. But as you said, she isn't really going to struggle with in terms of jungle clear. But we do have a level 1 invade this game. The Morgana is going to be really strong here.
The 5-man stack is going to be spotted out by Nautilus, who's going to try and walk away.
Oh, he missed the hook.
The Dark Binding lands, and the hook does not land on the wall to get him out to safety, and he is gone. First blood over to the side of Thigh Slappers. And that's after the last game's performance, where we saw Jungle Jeremy, Sam, where we saw him pop off on the Rengar. Giving him a first blood is not what you want to see.
No, it could not have been a worse person to give the first blood to, because as much as we're focusing on the jungle Poppy, on the other side, the Nidalee has been quite strong recently for a reason. And that reason is she is just so good when she gets ahead, and you can see how confident Sam is on the Nidalee as he goes with the Dark Seal first item. So he's like, "Yep, I plan to get kills this early game, and this is basically how I'm showing it." So I'm going to be really worried on the side of the main team, Dream Team, just because of, again, we're going to be worried a little bit to see how they answer Sam after that performance in the first game. And with the amount of pressure, as we can see here, the amount of pressure that the Lucian puts onto the Veigar early game, it basically gives Sam free reign to do pretty much anything, to invade if he wants, to just clear and get scalp grabs, because his mid laner is always going to be there first as the Lucian against the Veigar. And basically what that means is there is a big risk of Sam just completely taking over the game here, as he did in the first game.
Yeah, and if we do see, a similar performance to what we saw in the last game, with him managing to pick up as many kills as he did, this Dark Seal early buy is absolutely going to be upgraded into that Magi if he manages to pick up those early ganks, those early kills, because Nidalee is one of those champions where, because of the nature of her transformation, having 6 different abilities available at level 3, her gank potency is really strong. And if we look at her lanes, the Malphite slows, perhaps less in the mid lane, but the Cosmic Binding in bot lane, able to perfectly set up for the spear. But as we see an early invade here onto Sam, the spear is thrown, lands onto Grom, a dodge, as we mentioned, from the W. Sam manages to pick up the buff, and Lucian is here, thanks to that mid pressure, is gonna be able to take Nat 1 Gamer down. And this match is already firmly in the favor of Thigh Slappers, but the Akali E does land here, doesn't choose to take it. Perhaps looking up for follow-up damage, but now Sam is going even deeper. This man does not care. He knows how far ahead he is. He wants those Dark Seal stacks. He jumps onto Akali under tower and is not going to be able to find that kill. But regardless, we can see how far ahead this man does not stop. He is going in repeatedly, absolutely no fear, even threatening the back in their jungle there for a second, and we can see this Nidalee 1-on-1, 1 stack on that Dark Seal. That is absolutely going to be increasing, and already kills getting traded over in the bot lane. We see how this counter matchup works out. Dark Binding must have landed onto the Nautilus. Damage coming out from Xayah, Morgana flashing into the bush to avoid vision, and that was beautifully played from both sides there. Obviously not knowing whether or not the blue team had that bush warded.
We're still fighting.
I feel so sorry for our observer, because Lord knows he will not be able to keep up with his absolute shenanigans. It looks like Tofu King's about to go down again. 2 stacks on Nidalee's Dark Converse.
No.
More kills going over to the side of Thigh Slappers, and it is 5-0, 4 minutes into this game. Alpha, we have more kills than we have minutes into the game. What's going on?
Oh my days, that is a disaster for the side of the main team, Dream Team. That is, I just said, that is 2 stacks on the Dark Seals. That is 2 kills on the Lucian. That's pretty much the ideal start for the side. of the Thigh Slappers. You even have the bot lane of Xayah and Morgana getting ahead of the Ashe and Nautilus. As I was saying, usually what should happen is that Xayah should be essentially just waiting for her items before she can really fight. But somehow they managed to get a turnaround on that and actually get a 2v2 double kill with not a single kill on the side of the main team, Dream Team's bot lane. So this is, as you said, a big disaster for them. And coming back from this, basically, it's going to have to rely strictly on setting up with the Poppy, because the Poppy still has a fairly strong setup in terms of ganks. There is still a way to come back to this. The Poppy doesn't have to wait for her items necessarily. She can still try to make things happen early. It's just that in terms of the pure jungle to jungle matchup, she is never going to be further ahead than Nidalee, especially at the very start of the game.
Yeah, and I don't think Nat1 wants to be trying to look for counter ganks and responsive ganks to this Nidalee. I think really Nat1 Gamer needs to be saying, you know, we know this Nidalee is super far ahead. We know there's nothing that I can do to stop you dying from her if she does choose an opportune gank. So play safe, and if we see Nidalee, for instance, top side or in the mid lane, we're not going to respond to her in that lane. We're going to try and gank somewhere else and perhaps, you know, trade kills or just try and get advantages elsewhere on the map. Because Lord knows right now, as we see here, even the damage onto the dragon being able to take quite quickly, they cannot respond to this Nidalee because they're just so far behind her right now. These Dark Seals are going to keep increasing. This lead on the Lucian is going to keep increasing. Vigar's struggling to get stacks. And a solo kill in the top lane, just going down. A traded kill in the end, but being able to kill that Malphite when look at that farm under tower that he's missing because of the fact that he's dead. He is going to have TP up here, so he'll likely TP back in. But regardless, definitely a worthwhile trade for this Akali.
Yeah, again, that Akali, as I said, she's just going to be looking to try and get her first item as quickly as possible. But because she is against a Malphite, it is essentially a bully lane. She can basically jump up and go for a trade at any point, and Malphite just has to sit there and take it. But we do have Sanya looking for another fight here. He just doesn't stop. But essentially, oh my days.
Okay. That bush was warded. Unlucky, that one. Bit of a dangerous recall in enemy territory, and the Unstoppable Force is just going to come in and slap him right in the face. Don't quite know what he was too much expecting there. And I mean, when we talk about, you know, the sort of state of this game for the two teams, the reason that trade for the Akali is so good, obviously, with the missed farm as well. But, you know, in a game where you look at the top, you see your team is down 6 kills to 0 at the time. You're like, okay, you know what? Trading a kill here is more than worth it for our team because we're so far behind that the small advantage that they'll get from picking up the kill there will not matter as much in the grand scheme of things from the advantage they'll get from one kill. Sam does throw the spear into bot lane, goes wide, so he doesn't look like he's going to gank that. However, the recall is cancelled for the fight up there. Nautilus, I believe, is fighting Nidalee off camera, too scared to show the massacre is occurring, and Ashe should not be far to follow. If the spear lands, the damage is down, and the bot lane is once again slaughtered for the side of the Mean Team, Dream Team, down 0-2 and 0-3 here in the bot lane. Not the start you want to be seeing. However, like we said, Poppy responding in the mid lane. The flash is going to come out. Flash out of the W, but the Lucian damage is still there to return it. The PTA making her vulnerable, reducing her armor there, and does not die in the mid lane. Once again, I feel like I said this whole last game, this is a disastrous start for top lane. As we see here, Cosmic Sphere getting wide, just taking the blue in the enemy side, does not manage to get it. The smite does not come through, but the W here looks like they will be able to follow up and getting, you know, some sort of response. That 450 gold shutdown is nice. Not ideal at going onto the Poppy though. Would have loved to see that go over to the Akali if we're talking about hard carry for this game. But ultimately, you know, like I said, we take those. Trades are trades, and when you're this far down, you need to be looking for opportunities like that.
And you know, Dusk, if you want to take a breath, if you want to take a break, it's totally understandable at this point.
Yeah, I'm not gonna have lungs by the end of this, man. I don't know what's gonna. I can't keep up. There's been 12 kills in 9 minutes. Lord help me.
It's honestly just been fighting non-stop. I mean, not only has Sam just been openly looking for
Fighting
kills, but here we go
non-stop, Ash,
again.
you mentioned it, the unstoppable
Yeah.
force comes into the top lane, and I need some strepsils, man! Another kill going down in the top lane. Akali going to be seeing the scoreline 1-2-1. The Dark Binding goes wide in the bot lane, and if we look at all lanes and the jungle as well, support the side of Thigh Slappers, it's an advantage all round. Now, is there a way for Meme Team, Dream Team to come back into this? Yes, absolutely. The Enchanted Crystal Hour does land on the bot lane. Poppy, the damage is coming through. The ultimate comes out from Morgana. She's going to be able to spell shield herself, stop the knock-up, and the stopwatch is going to save her temporarily. The Feather Storm comes out from the Xayah, but the damage is going to be there. Not the support does go down, but Poppy pins her against the wall. The damage is going to follow through, and that goes on to a Veigar. That could be big. Just as I mentioned, is there a way for the Meme Team, Dream Team to come back into this? Yes, we have an Akali. We have a Veigar. That's a lot of damage, you know, and with that kill going on to Veigar, that shutdown, that could be big. But again, I said this for possibly the first 15 minutes of the previous game. Can they come back from this? The fight over the Malphite, but the Malphite's so big, the E is taken in. Akali, the precision protocol comes through, and the damage is there. Perfect execution onto the top lane. This Akali could be getting big as well as Veigar, but another kill going down on the other side of the map. Trade for trade for trade. This is what the Meme Team, Dream Team need to be looking for. I'm gonna go have a lie down. You take this for the next 10 seconds.
Please do. Please take a break. This has honestly been just wall-to-wall action here. It's unbelievable how much these two teams are just so happy to just keep trading and fighting. As you said earlier, this is pretty much Meme Team, Dream Team's only way to try and come back is to pick fights at numbers advantage, which they did in bot lane. But even then, the Thigh Slapper still managed to get something back. And honestly, that was really well played on the side of the Thigh Slappers bot lane. They got 2v3 and managed to get 2 kills for that, and only lost it when Tofu King decided to actually join the action. And all of this was ignoring the top lane. Louis Saber again just being the one ray of hope that the Meme Team, Dream Team still have, managing to 1v1 Cosmic Spire with a little bit of BM thrown in, and here we have again. I don't understand how they're still fighting.
Man.
There's so many kills I don't even have time to cast them. People just dying off screen. People dying on opposite sides of the map. There's just no time to take a breath. And honestly, this is really entertaining. But for the side of the Meme Team, Dream Team, this is almost the way you hope things to be. If you keep trading when the other team is ahead, you are still gaining from that, just because the other team is going to have bounties and they're going to be giving them away. And the only person to not die yet is still Sam. So that's going to be big. He currently has a 450 gold bounty. So whenever someone tries to grab on...
The unstoppable force there, missing in the top lane, and the beam coming out from Louis Saber is going to look to try and follow up for that. But yeah, like we said, trading these kills, as much as they are 2 dragons down, that is going to be how you came back in this game. But you really do need to be worrying out for Sam here for jungle. Jeremy is very, very strong right now. And like I mentioned, from the second that Dark Seal was picked up, we knew that was going to be transforming into a Magi's. We knew that he was going to pick that up so he can have this impact on the map already at 12 stacks, 12 minutes into this game, and is absolutely not scared of the Nautilus coming out. And the stun from Veigar going to stand right in front of it. The damage onto the tank absolutely goes through, and the culling coming out from Lucian. Cleanse is needed, but Veigar absolutely pops him. This could be the moment that they've already extended. Sam is slowed, and the damage comes through. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow out from Ash, but can they clean up this fight? They absolutely can, and that is going to be a 4-for-1 trade for the support for the side of Meme Team, Dream Team, and you take those trades. This is how they come back into this game.
Yep, and that ray of hope is now just a tunnel of hope. Louis Saber making his way towards a bot lane for this, and that makes a massive difference on the fight. He is the only one really ahead of his lane opponent. But at this point though, the Veigar stacking has already started. We saw that he managed to get pretty much a one-shot on the Nordic, and if he manages to keep this going, basically that is the one way that the Meme Team, Dream Team can manage to come back.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's like we mentioned, that these kill trades here are actually going to be really valuable. Even you see here the Veigar just managing to zone Cosmic Sphere off of this Rift Herald, now starting to trade objectives back. And from a kill line of 0 to 6, 1 to 7, now seeing 11 to 15, this has to be a lot more hopeful for the BB Dream Team after the destruction that they saw in the last game and the destruction that they had in the early game here. It must be really good for their mental state, for their mental capacity to be able to see this comeback starting to come into fruition as the gold lead closing down from what I believe we previously saw of 5, 6, maybe even 7k gold, now closing down to only 2.3. That's really ideal. Now, I mean, if we look at it here on the laners, we can actually see a 1k gold lead advantage for Lusaber in that top lane. We mentioned how he's going to be able to put some pressure all over this map with the lead he has, and he certainly has it. The pin here landing on the Sam could once again have overextended, but the flash does come out. Nordic is here to back it up. The culling is used. Poppy about half health. Same with the Akali. The E is taken, cannot be taken. It appears to be embedded in the wall. The enchanted crystal arrow there lands onto Malphite. However, he's going to have a lot of MR, a lot of armor stats. That one going back in, but the unstoppable force manages to take him down. Veigar doing absolutely massive amounts of damage here to Lucian, taking him down. The perfect execution there comes out from the Akali, managing to pick up another kill, and the Malphite trades it back. It's a 2 for 2, but Akali is here. Akali is looking to finish this off, but Lusaber is going to back off. Cosmic Spire is going to flash over that wall as opposed to walking around it just for that little extra bit of safety, and he's going to try and get himself out. However, he could be looking to be stopped here. The Akali does appear to be eating him.
Oh no!
Akali,
oh no!
No! He pressed the button. He pressed the bad button. That's it. He's gone. You love to see it happen, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who don't know, Akali throws that mark after Malphite backs, hits it again. You are being taken straight to Nexus, my friend. Enjoy the death. Enjoy the 1,000 ticks per second. That's a Twitch highlight. Hello, Synapse. Good to see you. And the Featherstorm here coming out in the bot lane from the Xayah defensively, aiming to dodge out that damage, but doesn't look like anything's gonna come of it. A lot of ultimates and abilities burned there. However, Poppy is here, and that one's coming around the side. The W is used, the Morgana is pushed into the team, and the knockup is massive for both of them. Xayah going down, no ultimate there to save her this time, and they could be looking to chase her under this turret. The spell shield comes up to avoid the enchanted crystal arrow stun, and the damage does come through. It does, however, look like Nautilus is going to go down here. That's a 2 for 1 in the bot lane, and all of a sudden, Meme Team, Dream Team looks to be in the lead of this game despite the gold discrepancy.
Yeah, and honestly, this is all basically working as a team, bringing them together. This is oh no, oh no. That was I'm not even sure how that started. It looked like,
I thought for a second I could take a break, take a sip of my drink, relax. Not today. Clearly, I need to be paying a bit more attention as the blue buff here is going to get stolen away from Thigh Slappers, and if that goes on to Veigar, that's some mana. That's, you know, a lot more power on him as they look to be taking down their first Drake of the game.
And this is so good. This would have taken the Thigh Slappers onto their soul point, but instead they just get delayed so much. So this is basically an extra 10 minutes minimum that the main team, Dream Team have bought themselves. But also, like you said, they are coming back. The Veigar is their one pressure point that they have basically walking around. Lusaber as well is also basically any 1v1 that he goes against, he will win that. He had a little bit of help from the turret earlier, but you know, tanking an entire culling probably doesn't help in that case. So hopefully he can hopefully avoid a little bit of that next time. But really, this is all going to be on the Veigar and on the Akali to try and bring this back.
Absolutely.
The Poppy as well is doing a lot of work here. Nat one has not had many opportunities to make things happen, but he has made the most of those opportunities.
Yeah, this is clearly an indication that as much as it was a pick that surprised us, certainly one that he's very familiar with, but he is getting engaged here down on the bot lane. Chooses to pin the Lucian back against the wall. The stun does land onto the Morgana. The ultimate coming through, but not going to be able to capitalize on it. The one shot from Sam onto Ashe. This is the power that we're seeing, that as much as they have thrown away a couple of deaths, and they are arguably going toe-to-toe with the enemy team, they still do have a considerable amount of damage. Dreadflight lands onto Malphite, but I don't think he wants to take that. Dark Binding once again goes wide. 16 kills to 21 here. 37 kills in 18 minutes. This is not Worlds, but this is much better. This is what we're looking for. We want these fun, action-packed games that make my throat hurt. That's what we're looking for. And like you mentioned, in terms of pressure points for this game, even though the Akali scoreline is certainly not as impressive as the Malphite, the amount of damage that she's putting down, the amount of threat that she's able to put onto the enemy team is certainly evident. And just in terms of itemization, which I think is very interesting here, if we look over to the Malphite, it does appear to be itemizing towards the Liandry's Torment, indicating that, with the HP scaling that you could be seeing, Akali often builds the Morellonomicon, Poppy taking health, Nautilus often taking health. He could be looking to just burn some of that away, and we saw even last game with his admittedly very late game Magi Soul Stealer, he is okay to go for this sort of hybrid build, and the indication there is that, he's not taking too much damage. He seems to be okay in these fights. So he's able to go for that more offensive itemization to ensure that in these fights he's having a large amount of impact. But it does look like that one could be getting collapsed in on here. Pins Malphite against the wall, and the Alkite is here to follow up. But Akali going back in. The damage is coming through. I believe the perfect execution used, but she should be able to get herself out there. Unfortunately, the kill going down onto Poppy there. The blue buff can be traded over. And it looks like Thigh Slappers could be starting Baron here with no jungle on the side of Meme Team Dream Team. They either have to concede it or go for the fight, go for the pressure. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow lands. Volley to Vigar here, aiming the stun, lands onto the Morgana, but Spell Shield comes out. One gets absolutely bursted. The Morgana is down. No more Spell Shields for them. But the Xayah, the Featherstorm damage is coming through. She is absolutely walking through the enemy team. The damage is insane, but Vigar lands the stun onto Sam, and the damage is there. The ultimate comes through, and that is going to be a 3-for-2 trade for the side of Meme Team Dream Team, but that is enough to scare Thigh Slappers away from the Baron.
And this was, honestly, this was a third Baron, basically. You're not planning on finishing this. But here, now one may be looking for a flash over. Here we go.
It does hit him into the wall. W lands. The ultimate also coming through. The stun not doing very long on the Vigar, but the kill is still going to come through. The damage here from all the carries on both teams is absolutely insane. And we're going to see if Xayah is not able to take down this tower, obviously, because the enemy team will be collapsing around her. But the damage from the Xayah on the ADC here, we mentioned, as soon as she starts to get some items under her belt, she can be really threatening. She hasn't even completed the Infinity Edge yet, though. That is absolutely insane, the amount of chase down that she's able to have. And the damage, again, we saw it there from the Vigar. If he's able to land those abilities, if he's able to get you stunned up, doesn't matter how many shields Morgana's putting on you, say goodbye to your health bar. And in terms of both these teams here, I think Thigh Slappers needs to be really careful, because Meme Team, Dream Team absolutely have the ability to pick up one of these 5v5 fights here. And if they do win a 5v5 fight, they're going to be able to capitalize. Their Baron taking power, their Dragon taking power is actually very strong on both sides. So I think this game especially is going to come down to a series of 5v5s which both teams take.
Yeah, and it does look like now both teams have realized that, just 5v5ing might be the best option. As we see here, there's another fight starting, but it looks like they do manage to get away. So the Thigh Slappers here, Nordic was in a little bit of danger. If the Poppy had managed to get a wall slam there, that would have been him one shot. So that is the threat of the Vigars we were talking about. He is still scaling with his infinite Q stacking. So we really need to be worried for any of the carries.
Oh, Malphite coming through here. The Unstoppable Force is up, but he's going to take a lot of damage in the meantime. CC'd. The Unstoppable Force does not manage to come through. He gets killed by the Vigar beforehand, but the damage is still there. Xayah is still here. The Featherstorm does come out. This could deal insane damage if it gets pulled back, but the Akali is on the backline. Gets absolutely destroyed by the recall of the Feathers, and now it's 4 down to the side of Meme Team, Dream Team, and just the Vigar here up, trying to survive against multiple. Can he deal anything? No. Sam is able to take the Vigar down, and we saw there the Meme Team, Dream Team used a lot of ultimates there, the Enchanted Crystal Arrow and the Nautilus ultimate before that fight broke out, which means the Thigh Slappers were able to engage on that with more confidence, knowing that they had pretty much a full suite of ultimates at their disposal. So yes, whilst the Unstoppable Force doesn't come out, the rest of the team was able to follow up, and they get themselves to Soul Point on this Dragon.
And that is the big problem trying to engage into Xayah. You're basically into where she wants you to be. If you keep running into her, she's just going to have to keep stacking feathers. And we saw that one Blade Caller just catch out both Lewis Saber and Baby Cage, Baby Rage, pretty much just killing them instantly. But anyone else having to walk into that engage is either having to just wait for the Blade Caller to go out first, or to walk in and risk just getting shredded. by her E. So pretty much what we're going to have to try and hope for the side of the Thigh Slappers is don't get caught out like this here. And he's away. Okay, that's fine. Oh no, he's not away.
Fight does look to be engaged there by the Poppy. Gets the pin against the wall, and that is going to be Morgana down. Cosmic Sphere could be in a bad position here behind enemy lines, but looks to be able to get himself out. But Nautilus and Vigar is coming here on the flank. Is anything going to be able to land? Goes into the alcove. The hook misses onto Xayah, and they're aware of just how much damage she can have. She's going to choose to disengage it. But Nordic is here on the backline, playing with fire here. The cleanse instantly used to get himself away from the Poppy, but the ultimate follows up. The stun from Vigar manages to dash out. His tenacity is very high, but it looks like he should be going down here. The Akali looking for it. The Unstoppable Force does land on the back of the fight, but this is an absolutely split fight, and that is not what they want to be looking for, but they managed to trade the kill back. Ashe is down, and they still have Xayah. They still have Nidalee, and they're going to be chasing here. Are any kills able to be picked up? The spear does land onto Nautilus, and the damage is massive, but gets pinned back into the wall for the stun, and the Vigar manages to pick up the kill. Nautilus there, unfortunately, picking up the shutdown onto the Nidalee, which is not where you want that money to be going.
Oh, and I have never seen a sadder plus 1,000 gold there. That was tragic, but unfortunately, that is, someone had to get it, so it could be worse.
You know, the tank itemization really going to be shaping the team fight there for Nautilus. Not exactly, but I mean, they're certainly going to be happy for that on the side of Thigh Slappers, no problem at all, as they are barreling down on the base after that 3-for-2 trade. However, people are starting to respawn on the side of the meme team, dream team, so we'll have to see if any fight breaks out here. The slow does land on Xayah. The damage is coming through. The enchanted crystal arrow kills her in her tracks, overextending, going for that tower. Dark Binding, they're going to be stopping the Poppy, meaning that Malphite and Morgana should be able to get themselves out here, but the chase is on. The slows do not land onto the Malphite thanks to the spell shield. Dark Binding landing there onto the Nautilus, perhaps stopping any engage with the hook. But once again, you know, I've mentioned it once or multiple times already. This game is non-stop action. Both teams putting pressure here. I feel scared to ever take a break. The Unstoppable Force there lands onto Poppy, but she's very tanky. But so is Malphite, tanking up that damage from Vigar, but very, very slow to take down. Does manage to get the Poppy and should be able to get himself out. The stun lands onto Sam there, and the perfect execution comes out from Akali. This could be a big fight. They managed to shut him down. The damage is coming through. Nordic should be dead here. The exhaust is out. The Vigar damage is massive, and the Dark Binding lands onto Nautilus, which means once again it's just as Malphite, just as Morgana looking to get themselves out. Xayah has respawned. Non-stop action. What is that? Quick mental maths would say something along the lines of 61 kills this game in 26 minutes.
Yeah, and this game just will not slow down. People just keep looking for fights everywhere they go. They see someone, they start a fight. They see someone else, they keep going in that fight, even if it looks bad. So all these fights next to Baron are actually quite dangerous for both teams, because if anyone ends up getting any sort of way, that is an instant Baron. And especially on the side of Meme Team, Dream Team, they still have so much outer turret code to catch up on. They only have one turret so far, compared to the 6 turrets that the Thigh Slappers have managed to catch up on. So if they do manage to grab a Baron and actually manage to use it properly, that could instantly turn around the gold difference that they currently have.
Yeah, and I think it's a clear indication of the strength of the team comp that we're again seeing here from the Meme Team, Dream Team. We saw it in Game 1, they did have a somewhat strong team comp. The Dark Binding lands onto Poppy, but she's going to activate that Gargoyle Stone Plate, make herself just that little bit tankier, keep herself alive for a second here. And that's what I was saying. We saw in the first game, the Meme Team, Dream Team drafted a good scaling team composition, but they just weren't able to execute on it. This game, despite the early struggles, they are seeming to be able to make it back into this game, and this comp is going to continually get stronger. Vigar with his infinite scaling, Akali loving the items, Poppy, as we said, loving more and more items as they're positioning around to get this dragon here on the side of Thigh Slappers. This could be big, because if Meme Team, Dream Team wants to keep scaling up, the culling comes out there from Lucian. The Dark Binding does land, but he is very tanky. The spear, max range, lands onto him as well, getting that kill, securing it down. Poppy going down as well. That's the jungler down for the next Drake, and the Featherstorm aggressively flashing forward. Unstoppable Force there, going out very early for Cosmic Spire, but regardless, that is a no jungler up for this dragon. This should be Dragon Soul for the side of Thigh Slappers, which if you want to get... Oh no! Disengage. Look to be going for the end of this game. If this goes awry, Meme Team, Dream Team could have a shout in this fight. The respawn timers are still high, 16, 10, 20 seconds as they are barreling down on their base. The Vigar stun should be able to stall them out for a little bit. We see Nautilus here going to be coming up first, followed by Poppy and Ash, but the first tower is already down. Dark Binding lands onto Akali. That's a lot of damage coming out. The Vigar stun is there to back him up, ensure that none of the damage is coming here. Nexus about half health, but the damage comes straight through. This Xayah is massive. Damage going through the enemy team, but Nordic here could be picked off. The stunned Vigar landing massive amounts of damage. Nidalee Spear does not manage to land. Akali's still alive, manages to pick off the Morgana, and the red team here looks to be dying. Could he go for the base? The stopwatch comes through, but he won't be alive for any longer. And they just manage to hold on to their base.
That was amazing defense there. I don't understand how that happened. This was like so many sides happening. There was Lewis Saber trying his best to try and take out the backline, but then also we had Sam on the jungle Jeremy or on the Nidalee trying to jump around, trying to get a few auto attacks in, and this is going to be really like a sign of like a tiny sliver of hope here for the side of main team Dream Team. They managed to get the Drake so they don't get the soul, so that the Thigh Slappers don't get the soul, and they're not going to have enough time for the Baron. But again, this is just enough time to catch up on. But on the other side, we now have an open Nexus on the side of the main team Dream Team. So backdoors might be happening. So I think actually there is a ward just inside of that. Yeah, I can see the ping on there. So the Thigh Slappers might be looking for the backdoor TP here. So that is just going to be Cosmic Spire, but there's not much time on that ward.
It's coming down, and I think with the course of action that's happened over this game, whilst we have perhaps a moment of silence, as I do see people here barreling down the mid lane, just do want to thank our observer Sordy for managing to try and keep on top of this action. But just as I say that, the unstoppable force does come through, but massive damage there onto Lucian, taking him out instantly, and the chase down on Malphite is going to be there. The Ash slows are huge, and he is not able to get away from that one. Ali here, looking on the side, flash and perfect execution coming through, switches target, goes over to Nidalee, but the spell shield is there from the Morgana. Darkbind does not land, and that is going to be a 3-for-0 trade for the side of Meme Team Dream Team. Once again, because that message got slightly cut off, our amazing observers sorry, they're managing to try and keep on top of the chaos that is going on here as we see Meme Team Dream Team looking towards Baron.
Yeah, honestly, that is some amazing camera work. Praise the cameraman there. Like I said, this could be big for any team that manages to pick up the Baron, but especially for Meme Team Dream Team. So I'm not sure why they wanted to go for this. Maybe get rid of the jungler here.
That one gamer going in for the fight. Poppy had the flank toss. The stopwatch is used from both players. Nidalee should be going down here. However, Nat One Gamer is tanking up the turret. That is both junglers dead. The Meme Team Dream Team now need to make the decision. Oh no, Vigar gets taken down on the bot lane from the Malphite Q. He should maybe be able to pick up the kill, but the unstoppable force goes straight down onto Ash. She's very low, but the enchanted Crystal Arrow comes out stunning him again. They're both very low, and just manages to make that kill away, but Lucian is here, firing the culling down, manages to get the pickup, and now he could be looking onto the Nautilus. The chase down is real. The Ash slows are not here to slow him down this time, and the kill does go over. This Baron is not going anywhere. He's going to have a long and lovely life with his family. It's not going to be taking this game. As Xayah, for unknown reasons, seems to be going down for this base, but Akali is here to defend. Can they manage to get the Nexus here? The inhibitor is almost certainly going to go down. The size wave player is really quite good now that she's got these items under her belt. The Akali clearly looking to pick up these kills. Now what are they going to do here? They look to be backing off. They have now Jungle Jeremy, Sam, he is back up, but Ass is a Vigar, and Xayah needs to run. You better hope you got Featherstorm up here, son, because otherwise you're going to get one shot. It does get used out early, which means the Vigar could have a shot to get back out, but that is a lot of feathers and that's a lot of damage, rooting them up, and that, once again, is not one gamer.
Maybe the game.
They cannot go for this Baron. They are pushing into the Nexus of Meme Team Dream Team. Can they ward them off? The damage coming through from Ash is massive, but the damage from the Xayah, once again, in reply, Akali could be going down here. The perfect execution comes out, but does not find anything, and now it is only Nautilus alive to defend an open Nexus, and this should be game for Thigh Slappers. It was nowhere near as close as game one. Meme Team Dream Team threw in a massive shout with this almost 100 kill game. Thigh Slappers are going to take this series 2-0.
And what a what a back and forth game! What an insane game! As we said, this was a real test for not only for you, Dusk, but for also for our observer trying to keep up with all the action. As you said, as a total of 86 kills in just over 30 minutes. That was honestly insane. I'm not. I'm not sure. I would not want to be the one who has to try and pick out a team from these 10 players here.
Yeah, absolutely. Trying to get the MVPs sorted out for this game. I mean, for this game, certainly for the side of Mean Team Dream Team, at least it seems a bit more obvious as we're seeing the damage graph here. Ash absolutely going through the enemy team. But regardless, a very exciting game. Even though it wasn't the 3-game series that we were perhaps hoping for, it was certainly, especially in that second game, it was a great showing from both teams, really showing off some of the talent. And I mean, either way, if you're looking at that, even though it was a clown fiesta of a game, Cardiff Esports is looking at both of these games and recognizing the amount of talent that they have at their university. Very hopeful for the future. And you know, I like you said, I pity the people that have to try and narrow down this choice. But I just want to once again thank everyone that was involved in this process. Alpha, thank you very much for joining me. Sordy on the camera work, especially in that last game. This man is insane. If it weren't for him, we would not be able to do this. And I just want to thank everyone at Cardiff Esports for giving us this opportunity. A 2-0 series for Team A Thigh Slappers there, taking down the series. And yeah, thank you very much. And we're going to hand it back over to a break.